Teamwork and just the circumstances that we're in, we find our romance again, and we, throughout the season start to realize, we do have feelings for each other. And at the very end of the season, we're honest about that, and we tell each other.
Do you think Dick seeing Maury in the Lazarus Pit vision kind of made him look
Say again.
Dick seeing Maury in the Lazarus Pit vision, made him look at Corey differently and being like, all right, now I kind of know who I am. I think we should try this again, kind of ordeal?
It's a good question. Dick has this kind of avoidance to believing or accepting visions and dreams, and Corey believes 100% in her visions and dreams. It's kind of an interesting character perspective of the two, but as the season goes on, Dick starts to realize that some visions and dreams and some of those things are destiny, and some of them are there for a reason, and that's one of them. It's not something that he relies upon for the basis of their relationship, but it's something that reminds him of his love for Corey, and kind of it just reminds him of that, and I guess just teaches him to go forth and be true to that and honor that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To see coming out in season 3. Season 1. Oh my god. No, it's okay.
Don't worry about it. I'm still stuck in season 3 a little bit too. Season 4 in particular, there's an episode I was able to craft with Jeff Johns this season, which I'm really excited on. I kind of created the arc and the outline with him, and then he fleshed out the pages, and there were so few notes I had to give because he just stuck to that initial conversation that we had, and he didn't try to take it in his own direction like sometimes creatives do. He really honored the ideas and the basis of the story that I was trying to tell, and that is going to be a nice kind of standalone piece for Garfield, for Beast Boy. We get a better understanding of why he is the way he is, who he really is, and getting some backstory that actually informs his current positioning and how he might be able to help the team in the kind of dire situation that this season puts us in, which is on a slightly larger scale than previous seasons.
That's a question. In terms of what the character went through in last season and the experiments that they did on him, they tagged into his violent side and all that. It all comes to at the end, but how does that evolve in this season?
I'm glad you asked that, because I don't know if fans will catch it, but there is a moment later in the season where somebody from Gar's past shows up, and in that interaction I wanted to show that he was not fully healed from that trauma that this individual caused him by repeating a physical action that became a tick of his post that trauma. And I was very deliberate in keeping that tick absent throughout the season, and I actually didn't know that this person would be coming back until later. So when they did, it was perfect, because then I was able to really highlight that tick and be like, no, the trauma is still there. He's grown as an individual, and that resentment is no longer there, but the physical implications of what happened to him still are there. So that for me as an actor, that was one of the first times I was like, oh man, I made a physical choice that has multi-season value and payoff. Yeah. So I don't have many of those moments. That was the first time I was like, yes.
So, can you talk anything about Gar finally, getting his long time coming suit this season? Because everybody's so excited for it.
Sure. I mean, my counter argument, I've been waiting for a suit as well, but my counter argument is he's never really in a suit to begin with, because we always almost want to see him as an animal, almost all the time, or whatever, you know, celled organism that he can become, right? Because he can become any, you know, anything at this point. The suit is phenomenal. That's what I'll say. The suit is phenomenal. LJ and Super Suits team, they did a phenomenal job. Every member of the team was responsible for a different portion and piece of the suit. LJ has been doing Super Suits for 15 years now, I believe. I don't want to misspeak, but every little trick that they've learned from every project, from Titans, from the Boys, from Iron Man, from like everything she's touched. I mean, even Elf, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit of the knowledge, the prestige, the ability of that team goes into this suit, and I think it looks phenomenal. It functioned amazing. I wanted a suit that was functional for my fight scenes and for the physicality and the action, and they made sure that I was able to move in it. It was a little restricting, but where we padded the suit allowed me to actually be more physical and a bit more violent on my frame than I normally would be able to, where we're usually hiding pads in a jacket or trying to hide a pad in like a jean or a short, the suit was designed with action in mind, and I mean aesthetically, and it's beautiful. So yeah.
Did you get to like kind of like suggest anything, like, hey, like any input in it?
Yeah, my favorite conversation I had about the suit, I was nitpicking here and there because LJ is a perfectionist, I'm a perfectionist, and you're like, oh, that waistline seems a half inch too high. And like literally the conversations would be down to half inches. But it informed a silhouette and a look that we were going for, kind of that silver/golden age of superhero suits meets modern textures and modern lines. So the suit is an homage to what we've seen in Wolfman and Perez, meeting some of the newer 52 colors. But the conversation that I had with her that I've been holding off is, she asked me, red and white or purple and black? And I went, you can't
Oh
ask
my
me that.
gosh,
I was like,
yeah.
You can't. I was like,
Because you can't have best of both worlds.
no, you can't. And as a Teen Titans fan, I was like, I want that purple and black suit.
Yeah.
But I went, no, our show is honoring the Wolf and Perez era, you know, and I wanted to make sure that tonally everything we've done so far was honored, and we didn't just suddenly take a hard right turn into Teen Titans world. You know? I am always trying to suggest some Teen Titans storylines and sneak some stuff in there, but yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the red, black, white suit is the right choice. There's a bit of that T kind of shape in there. We kept the green paw, that's kind of embellished in there, and there's a fine detail on the suit where the Robin suit, the material, the fabric.
What's kind of what's happening this season the fans can look forward to?
So we leave at the end of season 3 Gotham. We've exercised a lot of demons. We took some hits, but we got back up. We're a family again. We go on the road, heading back towards Gotham. I thought they were going to stop in Vegas. I knew we were putting them in the RV. We didn't know where they were going, and that is the truth. I think Brendan and I were talking about it. And Ryan, we really loved the road trip of season 1. You know, every year has had a different locale, and one was really on the road. And we froze our tails off because it was so cold, but it was cool looking. It was ice and snow, and we went to all these different places. Production, we didn't love it, but we were like, well, let's. Season 2 was San Francisco. We settled down. We were in Titans Tower. Season 3, we took a big swing and went into the Bat family, and we went to Gotham, and we exercised a lot of demons there. And then so we figured season 4, let's go on the road again with a detour in Metropolis, where instead of pursuing demons, demons find us. We like the contrast of Metropolis to Gotham, and that we like the kind of shiny steel and glass optimism, the big shoulders feeling of Metropolis as opposed to Gotham, the darkness there, which we felt we played out. So in kind of looking at Metropolis, it's obviously there, interesting in terms of exploring Superboy's story, in terms of an origin story for him in terms of finding out who his family is, or who is not who his family is, in terms of finding out his parentage. You know, he has a dual DNA construction. So is he more like Lex Luthor? Is he more like Superman? To really put a spotlight on that growth for him and see which path he chose. He's at a point that. We also like the pressures it puts on the family when somebody's struggling. Titans is at its core a family show. So we really wanted to play, how does Nightwing, how does Dick Grayson, and how do Corey, the two leaders of our team, how do they deal with, you know, someone who's struggling? Every year we kind of try to put the family through a ringer. I don't know if you feel that way, but my family's always going through some kind of ringer. And, you know, and to see how they emerge, how it hits their heart, and how they're able to kind of be there for each other.
Especially in terms of the tone or the lighting of the show, it's somber and dark sometimes. Moving into Metropolis is going to be much brighter in terms of scenery and cinematography.
It's a really good question. You know, the show is it's we just won the ASC award this year, the American Society of Cinematographers Award for a single camera, hour drama, which superhero shows never do. So I'm incredibly proud of our team. It's a real specific look. This year we had to bring in different colors and tones, and going to Metropolis, it's different than Gotham. You don't play darkness in the same way, but we do still find darkness there. And especially the show this year, we go into, it's a good question because it really allows me to talk about one of the things I'm most excited about is we make a real turn into horror this year. A real choice to go into darkness and horror, supernatural. And when you bring in characters like Mother Mayhem and Brother Blood into the show, it opens the door to exploring horror. So there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of effects, and the cinematography accounts for that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
So what made you think that after the way season 3 ended, that Brother Blood would be the perfect villain for this upcoming season?
Well, it's a great question, and I think what we really needed to do is working within to turn back into the Titans universe for villains. Obviously, Scarecrow is not a specific Titans villain. Neither was Deathstroke, even though it was part of that world. We wanted a real specific Titans villain. And the one that made most sense, well, let me say this. First of all, the challenge with Titans villains are, you can't have jewel thieves and Bitcoin hackers,
Yeah,
right? You need to have people who can fight the 2 or 3 aliens we have with superpowers. You have to, a master detective and acrobat and fight expert in Dick Grayson, a changeling. They have all these different characters, right? So it has to be someone who's formidable and who has superpowers. And in that world, we really thought, Brother Blood's the most interesting character in there. Somebody who can harness his own family, but has a different definition of what family means, to fight ours.
Thank you so much.
Are there any plans for a 5th season that you can share or talk about or anything like that? Or?
Just prayers. That we get one. We really want one. We really feel like there's a lot of, as they say, dry powder left for our characters. I think we shoot out of this season with a lot of finality, but also a chance for a future.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So,
That's great to hear.
for Gar, I know we're kind of focusing a little bit on Superboy, but Gar too, what made this season be the core focus for him too, after everything that?
Well, it's long overdue.
Yeah.
We have so many characters on our show and so many to serve that Beast Boy's function along the way has been the glue of the family, the one who believed most in the family. And once the family kind of gelled and got set, we're the most secure we've ever been at the end of season 3. It allows him to start, the squeaky wheel eventually emerges, right? So he has to start exploring who he is. Every season of Titans is going to have a few origin stories that we're going to go into. This season, we really focus on 2. On a Superboy story, origin story, and on not so much an origin story for Gar Logan, Beast Boy, but a kind of questioning and, as he would say, unraveling.
We got them and we wrapped up, and now you're on a road trip, and I know here we're stopping in Metropolis, but what can you tell us, just to get us started, what can you tell us about what's coming up the fans can be excited about?
Yeah, well, you're right. Where we left off in season 3, the Titans kind of bundled up into an RV and headed off into the sunset. back to San Francisco, ostensibly, perhaps, but via
road
Metropolis.
trip, some stops on the way.
Yeah, so circumstances kind of arise where the Titans get the opportunity to go and visit Metropolis, and that's particularly significant for Connor because he, obviously both of his parents hail from Metropolis, so I guess you could say that the introduction of those parents to the show and having a Lex Luthor this season, that we actually have a physical Lex Luthor that we meet and get to interact with, and that's kind of the kicking off point for the action this season. And there are some twists and turns, and without spoiling anything, I'd say that's kind of the inciting event of the season, is that first encounter between Connor and Lex. Right?
So do you think with like Lex's introduction, it'll cause Connor to have like some type of self-discovery, like, and that he's like, you know, been needing since season 2? Because we really he just kind of got thrown in there. We never really got to like see his, you know, origin and stuff like that.
And it's similar for both the audience and Connor himself, right? Because Lex is someone who he's only heard about from other people and kind of observed from afar. So now he gets the opportunity to finally meet this guy, and it's a situation where expectations meet reality, and Connor has to kind of initially make the decision to go and meet him in person, which is, that decision itself is approached with a lot of trepidation. We've got the other Titans, Dick included, or maybe mostly Dick, kind of cautioning him against that, and Connor's fueled by this intense curiosity and this desire to meet this guy and find out, you know, why did you create me? Why am I here? What's my purpose? Who are you to me? Are you my father, or am I just a tool or a weapon to you? So it creates a very interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, that's definitely a long time coming.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, we've been wanting to see that since forever, and like I'm glad you guys finally got to, you know, this is gonna be a season where we can focus on Connor and like who he is, and like, you know, because we've seen the other Titans have their self-discovery, so I think it's Connor's turn now to get, you know.
He does, but I think one of the great things about this season, because we kind of have a little more of a condensed cast this time around. So we have kind of the 6 main Titans, and because of that, this season does a really great job of balancing all of those different stories and all those different character arcs. So it doesn't really feel like, you know, one of the characters is elevated at the expense of any of the others. Everyone kind of has their moment to shine, and they have their own storylines and they have their own character arcs, and everything kind of feels very balanced in that way. But yes, Connor in particular does get to delve deeper into his self-discovery and as you say, discovering his identity.
Awesome. I have a question. In terms of, we're talking about character development, right? You have such an important role in terms of this character's legacy, going back years and years, and you have a lot of interesting takes on different interactions.
What's that been like? Have you seen people dressed as your characters?
A few people.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really know what to expect because I'd never been to a big Comic-Con of this scale before, and one of the main reasons I wanted to come was so that I could go out onto the floor and explore. And I was, as I think I said on that post, that Instagram post, I was immediately overwhelmed by just the amount of people that were there, and the amount of things that were going on, and the cosplay, and immediately got a sense of how small and insignificant I was. And it's cool to interact with fans, and I really enjoy that, but the kind of any concerns for anonymity went out the window pretty much immediately once I got a taste of the scale of this Comic-Con and how many more interesting and exciting things were happening. And it was a real treat, a real privilege to walk around and experience it, because we don't really have, I'm from Australia, we don't really have anything on that same level yet, you know, as New York. So it's been really fun.
So I know you're saying that you did kind of touch the source material on Superboy, but like this was also your own interpretation.
Right.
But from the stuff that you have read, is there anything that caught your eye that you're like, oh, I'd love to see Connor do this one day, and that you can kind of maybe say or anything?
there are so many cool and different versions of this character. This season, without giving anything away, we did draw from certain comics and from certain visual ideas that have been used in the past. That'll become clear later once the seasons come out. I think it would be great. The scrimmer stick, yeah. I think it would be great to have the new 52 suit,
Okay.
the red and black. I think would make a really cool super suit to on TV. So I would say that would be cool. That's something I'd like
Has
to
there
see.
any, like, you've like ever approached Greg and be like, hey, can we maybe try to get this? Or?
I mean, it's not something I've really had to fight for just yet,
Okay.
because I think my character's so well served on this show that I'm very grateful for all the character development and the great story that we get to tell with Connor. But there was a little moment with LJ, who does the super suits, earlier in the season, where she was like, hey, we should do something with you. Maybe season 5, so who knows?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. But I'd only had brief conversations with Greg, our showrunner, about which version is this? What kind of interpretation is this going to be? And he kind of explained to me that yeah, you can go back and look at the source material, but this is a fresh interpretation. This is going to be our own thing. It's our own version. So what I wanted to do, my approach was I wanted a comprehensive view of the character and a good understanding of his history over the years and the different iterations that have come before me, so that I could maybe kind of take aspects from those to play with in my interpretation. But ultimately, by this point, season 4, I feel like our version, and I guess myself as an actor playing the character, we've come into our own, and now we've established this version of the character, and we get to see where we can go with this version. So it kind of stands apart, and as you say, it joins the huge continuity of the legacy of the character.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries.
Random question, sorry. So DC has like 18,000 different versions of everything. Is there like the movies or like one of the animated series that you would like to like cameo on?
Oh my goodness. There's just something about the scale of those movies, right? Especially, what Zack Snyder was doing with the DC Extended Universe and those series of films, and just seeing all these big characters on the big screen and with big effects and music and all of kind of the classic stories reinterpreted for modern audiences. I think that to me, hypothetically, would be the most exciting thing to be a part of. Not that I'm not excited about Titans, but Titans aside, if I got to cameo in something else, I think the movies would be the most fun, those kind of big movies, and then in particular the Justice League style team up movies where it's a bunch of characters crossing over from different worlds and stuff. So, yeah.
Now again, shifting focus. We're at New York Comic Con. I saw, I think, on Instagram or Twitter that you've kind of been out on the floor,
Yeah.
but it's been incognito. Has anyone